Hey guys, and thank you for coming for this week's author chat. If I'm yelling, I'm very sorry. I have a headphone in my ear here. We are celebrating today and this amazing book from Sara Snider, and I love this story. Oh my God, it's called Hazel and Holly. It makes my witchy heart glow. Definitely one, if you pick it up, definitely do so. This is technically adult fantasy, but I could give this to Andy at the drop of a hat. So definitely something for teens as well. Such a great book. Loved it. Love it, love it, love it so much. So we're going to get right into this and talk with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So first question off that we ask everybody, of course, is tell us a little about you and your titles, because I thought this was your debut and I guess it's not.
No, this is actually my third full-length novel. I have two books in a series, 13th Tower and A Shadow Spirit. Also, it's also adult fantasy, but kind of also would be appropriate for young adults. I just kind of write in between type fantasy, not quite young adult, not quite adult kind of stuff. And then I have a novella. It's a dark fantasy novella called The Forgotten Web. And yeah, so fantasy is definitely where it's at for me. So.
Well, you're really good at it, because this book is like one of the best fantasies that I've read. Like, seriously, it's amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
You guys that are watching, I keep forgetting to tell you guys can add comments to the actual event here below. You can tweet them to us on Twitter, post them, and I will find them as long as you tag me. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. All right, so my brain just kind of died there for a couple of seconds. So you are actually overseas. You're not in the U.S. Right. Was writing and publishing and not being in the States, was it a lot different than you ever thought it was going to be? I mean, versus being here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't even start writing until I moved to Sweden. So writing while in the States never even happened. But as far as living here, it's very similar in the sense that everyone speaks English, and but it is different. It's it's similar but different. So there is kind of like a cultural weirdness. It's not quite like being in the U.S. It's more laid back here kind of thing. But I don't think I really knew what to expect when moving over here. So it's been interesting. I've been over here for 18 years now, so I guess kind of used to it now. But
that's awesome. You never know, because it's like I've never been anywhere other than a couple of states over here in the U.S. So I've never been like anywhere else where it's like completely different and stuff. So that's really cool. All right, so our next question is, so I have to say that I'm so in love with your book, of course, that I've said. How did you come up with the idea for Hazel and Holly?
Okay, so this one started out as a flash fiction story that I wrote as part of a blogging challenge. It's called the A to Z challenge, and I haven't done it for a couple of years because it's pretty intense, but every year in April, you're supposed to write one blog post for every day of the month except Sundays. So that's one, and it's for one letter of the alphabet. And Hazel and Holly, probably not surprisingly, was for H. And it was called like Hazel, Holly, Hemlock, and Hawthorne, all the main characters in the story. And my theme for it that year was tree names. So that's kind of why there's a heavy tree theme going on in this book in particular, because I'm just in love with trees. Trees are a big inspiration for me from my writing. I just love nature in general. But yeah, and a couple of people commented that they really enjoyed it and they wanted to know more, and I gave it some thought, and I thought, yeah, I can see that there's more to the story. And so I decided to serialize it on my blog, just to try something new, push myself out of my comfort zone. And that's the story it became. It's kind of, that's why there's like lots of short chapters in it, and they're all titled. So it's just, it was a serialized story that became a book.
Well, it worked. Well, that's for sure. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it's good to hear.
So how much research did you have to do to fill this book with so much glamorous yummies of witches and warlocks?
Not a ton of research, because I just have a tendency to just make stuff up as I go, but I did read a bit on witchcraft. I have some books by, I can't remember her name, but it's called Green Witchcraft. And so I read through, a few of those. not back to back, but just kind of picking and choosing the parts that I thought were relevant in terms of herbs, because there's a lot of herbs in this book and some have magical qualities. And so I took actual, magical qualities in witchcraft today that are attributed to these herbs and kind of put them into the book here and there. So, and then there was research for all the names, because I have this, for everyone that lives in the Grove, witches and warlocks, they're all based on tree names or plant names in general. And so I had to actually look up some interesting names for that, because, like Pyrus, I got that from looking it up. I didn't know that was a tree until I wrote it. But other than that, I'd say it's mostly just made up.
Well, you did a very good job with it. I think that book, Green Witchcraft, is by Anne Mora.
That could be, yeah. I wish I had it with me. It's in the other room, but that might be it, yeah.
Yeah, I've been pagan for about 20 plus years, so like a lot of the stuff in here, you did very, very well. Very well.
I'm really glad to hear that, actually, because that's something that's kind of at the back of my head, because this is, a living religion for people, paganism, that it does exist. And I didn't know how it might be received in that, circle. Would they think it was well done or not? But so I'm glad that you thought it was okay.
Okay, so let's see. Our next question is, let's see if I pronounce all these right. Okay, so holly, hazel, hemlock, and hawthorn. That is a lot of H's. Oh my God, that's a lot of H's. One of my favorite quotes that I take pictures of them to post on Instagram was who was it? I think it was I don't remember what his name is. But it was one of the necromancers, and he's like, that's a lot of H names. You guys like get together and like go attack all like the B names and the L names and all that. I love that so much. But they're all of varying ages. When you decided to pair them up, did you worry what readers would say about the age difference? Because Holly's 16, Hawthorne's in his late 40s or something like that.
Yeah, 40s somewhere. Yeah. Honestly, no, not while I'm writing it. I honestly, I write stories for me. And so I just kind of do what I like. And the worrying comes later, once I'm done with it and I'm editing and I'm putting it out into the world. And then I start to worry, how is it going to be received? Is this really a young adult book if she's 16 and he's in his 40s and she's interested in him? And then I'm not sure how much I should say, because I don't want to give away spoilers or anything. But yeah, so I mean, that's definitely something that's on my mind, but it's not something I have in mind a lot when I'm writing. And I don't know if that's good or not, but that's kind of how it goes for me anyways. But
personally, for me, I think it really works because, I mean, with the glamours and everything else, and like Hawthorne really doesn't, he's supposed to be older than I am because I'm only 36, but it's like he doesn't perceive, as that on the page. He seems a lot younger. And yeah. I think they really kind of work together, even though they have that big age gap. So it was kind of really nice.
That's cool.
All right, let's see. Guys, if you hear any screaming in the background, my kids are home and one didn't have any laundry, so I couldn't force them to go to the park. So they are at each other's throats right now. So just kind of ignore it and they will be fine. Okay, let's see. Next, are you a self-published author? Because I was seeing like your little cat thing, and I noticed on like the bottom of your website you have like your 2 cats and you about your publishing company. Yeah. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, I am. So all my books have been published by me and my partner. We're kind of in this together. It's our publishing company that we do together. Yeah, indie author.
So why did you choose to go indie versus traditional?
It's really interesting because, I mean, both roads are difficult. There's no easy way into publishing or to write books or publish books. It's all difficult. For me, I think I mostly just wanted to get my books into the hands of readers. And I also just want to write the stories that I love, and the stories that I love aren't necessarily easily categorized, like with Hazel and Holly. Is it YA? Is it adult? It's kind of in between. And that's a really hard sell. And I understand why it's a hard sell, because, you need to be able to put a book into a box, for it to really sell well. This is what it is. People know what to expect, and that's what works well. And that's not necessarily what I write. And it is really hard to sell these books. And but you know, that's what I love to write, and that's what I want to continue doing. And I worry if I try to approach a publisher that they might say, no, we're not interested in this, because it's just, you know, it's too in between genres or whatnot. Yeah, so I also, yeah, I just mostly I just want to write my stories, and I want them to be read by people, hopefully. And so for me, not going through a publisher is kind of, I don't, it's a little bit like cutting out, because it's not strictly necessary. I try to make my books as professional as possible. They go through, you know, a lot of editing. I get professional covers. So I try to do my best to get it up to the standard of professional publishing as much as I'm able to. So hopefully it works out. Let's see.
Well, it definitely did with this one. I mean,
Okay.
seriously, when I started reading this, I didn't even realize it was self-published. And
Okay.
like, you know, with the cover and everything else, like you wouldn't know. You know, I've done a lot of indie publishing and stuff, and like those one-click things on Amazon, and there is a lot of them that are horrible, very, very horrible. And it's like you will get like maybe 1 or 2 books in about, I would say 50, 60 books that are indie published that are, you know, done very well. They're edited well, you know, they have nice covers, you know, and you wouldn't know. And this is definitely one of those. So
Okay. That's
guys
good.
out there, if you are scared of indie published books, you do not have to be afraid of this one. It is okay to buy this. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Can you summarize Hazel and Holly in 20 words or less?
Oh my God. I don't know if it's 20 words or less, but I would say Hazel and Holly is about 2 witch sisters who are looking for their necromancer father to make him undo a curse that he put upon their dead mother.
Perfect.
Might be 40 words, I'm not sure, but
It's really hard to do those. Okay, let's see. Will we see a follow-up to Hazel and Holly, or is this a standalone?
it was intended to be a standalone, but the way I end books has a tendency, you know, it's an end to one thing, but you know, a beginning to something else. And all of my stories kind of end in that little bit open-ended way. And some people have expressed an interest in the sequel, and I'm definitely open to the possibility of it. And so it's definitely something on my mind, but nothing concrete is planned right now for it. And right now I'm working on the 3rd book in my series, Tree and Tower series. Hopefully to go back to that, because Hazel and Holly basically took over my life, and that got pushed aside. So,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, maybe. So that's the official answer, maybe.
If you were going to write another story based with Hazel and Holly, whose point of view would you choose if you had to choose somebody else versus what you did in this one? Which this is kind of like a little bit of everybody. So like you can't choose Hazel, Holly, Hawthorne, or Hemlock. I almost forgot a name in there.
Oh, really? I can't choose them?
You can't choose them. You have to choose somebody else.
Oh, I would say either Ash, the dad, or Willow, the mom. That would be like kind of, no, not Willow. Probably Ash, the dad. Maybe Tum, the gnome, but I'm not sure he can carry his own story.
I love the little cellar gnomes. They are so awesome.
I could see him having a novella. I think I'd have a hard time writing a novel with him, but a novella I could see him having somehow, just like a shorter story.
Right. I would love a story about Tom. Tom is awesome.
I do like him, so he's fun.
He's so cool. Let's see. Do you think that you will ever dip your writing into the world of YA and write a specific story for the young adult crowd?
Maybe. I've never intended to write, you know, these in between genre books, you know, not quite YA, not quite adults. It's just kind of what resonates with me. I'm definitely not opposed to writing a more young adult book. I actually had an idea not that long ago for a middle grade book that I may or may not write. Well, middle grade children's, I'm not exactly sure about the age bracket, but definitely children's category. But, you know, no solid ideas yet, but, you know, if I get an idea that I that I really feel strongly about, then yeah, definitely. It could be cool.
I think that'd be so cool to have like a little fantasy story for, kids and stuff. That's so cute. Alrighty. Let's see here. Losing my spot on my list. What are you currently reading or have you just finished?
Yeah, I don't read nearly as much as I should, but right now, if I see if I can remember it, I started reading. Oh, I can't remember it. All my books are in the other room. I started reading this one book by Nora Roberts, and it was a witchy book, but I don't know, it's a romance. And romance.
What is it? The Blood Witch, I think, or something like
No,
that.
On the Wind or something like that. It's been very popular. It has so many good reviews, but it just wasn't really resonating with me, so I kind of put it to the side. I might return to it later. But so then I've actually just recently switched to, I think it's called The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane, a bit of historical fiction. And I'm enjoying that one a lot more. I'm not that far in it, but I can't remember the author's name. But that one's actually really good. Also a witch book, and I didn't even know it was witch, because the Nora Roberts book I specifically started because I wanted to read, a witch book after Hazel and Holly. But this book I had actually no idea. It's set, historical. So, I was like, oh.
See, are there any new authors that you're interested in for us to watch out for and that we should keep an eye out for their titles?
Well, I'm gonna put a hand up for an indie author. She's actually a friend of mine, Celine Jean. She writes actually some of my favorite stories. It's called her series is called the Viper and the Urchin series. She's changed the name, so I think that's the most recent one. But very whimsical, very humorous books, just a lot of fun. YA. Yeah. So I would definitely recommend her because I don't think she's actually that well known, but I think her stories are fantastic. So I'm just going to doing a shout out for a fellow indie author.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, guys, that is it for today's show. Definitely, I would say that if you are a fan of the Black Witch series, or what is it, the Black Witch Chronicles by Lori Forrest. Let's see what else is out there that's like witchy, set in kind of like a Victorian era type thing. The Lovegrove series from, I think her name is Harvey Alexander. I'm so horrible with author names. So you are not alone in that respect. Definitely, if you like those, this is definitely something to check out. And you can actually win one copy of this. The giveaway is on site right now. And then I will be giving away and 2 more copies later next month and going on forth. And this is out on the 17th, I think?
16th.
Oh, the 16th. This is published out on the 16th. So not too long ago, not too far to go if you want to check it out. So thank you, Sarah, for coming on so much. It's a joy to have you. And guys, you can actually catch us. Not that one. It's a different book that I don't have on me. Okay, so I don't have that book on me, but you can catch Emily R. King on Monday here for her 2 series for the 100th Queen series, as well as her newest series, which is something I don't remember what the title of it is. I'm a horrible person. Like it was there and it just went poof and it died. I keep butchering this book. Okay, Before the Broken Star, which is her newest book that just published. So definitely check us out then, and then come back on the 15th on our Instagram account for our first ever author chat on there, and that will be with another indie author who wrote this. So that is YA, which is The Ghost Hunter's Daughter by Caroline Flaherty. And I've been talking about this one. Now I'm gonna be like talking about both of these books for like the next couple of months because my goodness,
it's good to have good books.
You indie authors are like, you're kicking butt. That's all there is to it. I mean, you guys are kicking it and kicking it well. I mean, I am just so amazed. This book is so good. Oh, and That would be amazing. Okay, so here's another novella idea for you. Chester. I forgot about him. Chester.
He needs Holly, though. I don't think he can carry a story on his own.
He's so cute.
Adorable.
Chester, guys, in this book, he's this little mouse that belongs to Holly, and he wears this little vest that she made him, and he goes into like people's houses and he steals stuff, which I know is horrible, but it's so cute. And he like curls up in her hair, and when she goes places, and you kind of like forget that he's there, and then he just pops up, for some reason, and you remember that he's there, and it's like, wow, where has he been all this time? And I love it. I love it so much. This is so good. So good. This is definitely one of those books that you get done with it and then you want to turn around and just reread it. And that does not happen very often.
No, it doesn't. So thank you. That means a lot.
So good. So good. All right, guys, make sure to join us Monday. Really quick. We have the next author chat on Monday. That I think that's almost like back to back basically. So hope to see you guys there. And if you guys have any more questions, please add them to the comments below. And I'm sure I will tweet them over to Sarah so she can find them. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. We are going to be heading off tonight for a late showing of Detective Pikachu, and I got books to read. So have a great weekend, guys. And happy Mother's Day to those that are moms.
Happy Mother's Day.